ingredient of the punch will be poured by Second Lieutenant Bob Stem of Second Lieutenant. First ingredient of the punch will be poured by Second Lieutenant Kyle Blumhorst. Burgundy red artillery.
Stand aside, Kyle.
Oh, Kyle.
Ready. 88 is full of life, always ready to day or night, anywhere we serve, first to fire.
Request permission to approach the head table so that the guest of honor may savor this artillery punch to judge its fitness for human consumption. Your punch, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Lieutenant Colonel Scott.
Those officers, so named, I was present when you made the infraction of bringing alcoholic beverages into the mess. Please approach the grog and...
And you're off.
Mr.
Vice! Mr. Vice!
Sit down, Bodie. That's right. Sit down, Bodie.
Sergeant Jones, state your point of order.
I say that Lieutenant Lindsay is wearing unauthorized shoes for the AR.
Sergeant Jones,
Yes, Mr. Vice.
I see that Lieutenant Lindsay is wearing unauthorized shoes. Is that a Copenhagen I see in your lip, Sergeant Jones? Why don't you join me by the grog, Sergeant Jones?
Hey, there's a dip, Jim.
There are master sergeants and first sergeants. There are staff sergeant majors and command sergeant majors. You just addressed one of my platoon sergeants, Colonel Tedesco's platoon sergeant, as sergeant. I suggest that you join this august group of
What is it?
Achievement Medal and Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry with Silver Star. He is married to the former Susan Andrews, and they have 3 children. First Lieutenant Vincent J. Tedesco III, Matthew T. Tedesco, and Kim Sue Tedesco. So at this time, please welcome Colonel Tedesco.
Let me tell you guys something, and ladies. The worst thing you'll ever be asked to do is to address a dining in. Because the dining in started at 1800 hours. It is now 2041 by the only watch that counts in this room. And you're all half shit-faced. And now I'm supposed to get up and give you a serious talk. Pretty hard to do. I know. I agree with you, son, all right? Now, the first thing we're going to do is, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to propose a toast on your feet. Earlier this evening, we toasted the 5th Air Defense Artillery. Fine regiment. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like now to give you the regiment that won the Battle of Buena Vista, and with it, the Mexican-American War. The regiment that kicked the ass of the Seminole Indians. The regiment of a guy named George Meade, of a guy named William Tecumseh, of a guy named Ord Schofield, of guys who have been the heart and soul of the United States Army. A regiment that has 49 battle streamers, 23 of which are decorated for valor. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the 3rd Air Defense Artillery. Now sit down. And what you High-Man wimps got to understand is, what the High-Man guys have to understand is you had it and you gave it up. Okay, look, I'm going to keep it short. I'm going to try to keep it relatively entertaining. All I ask is you keep your mouth shut. It may not be easy given the quantity of booze some of you have consumed, but after 2 trips to the grog bowl, it's not easy to be up here talking to you either, so live it up, all right? Look, I was asked to talk to you about reporting to your 1st tactical unit as a lieutenant. Commanded 3 batteries, a battalion, and a brigade, so I know a little bit about lieutenants and units, okay? Better yet, 24 years ago today, I reported into Battery B, 5th Missile Battalion, 1st Air Defense Artillery in a place called Dexheim, Germany. You wouldn't be going, if you haven't been to Dexheim, Germany. Now, we got to Dexheim, Germany. There was a lady named Suzanne Tedesco and I, and a kid who's now a 1st Lieutenant of Armor, of Cavalry, in fact, in Germany, and I blame it on his mother's genes, and I know I'm a failure as a father. We got to Germany on a troop ship. Now, those of you who are the age of most of you in this room, Paul may remember a troop ship, but I don't think too many others remember a troop ship. What a wonderful way to go to Germany. It took us 9 days to cross the North Atlantic in the winter. We left in January. We all went in, and before the ship sailed, and we sailed, honest to God, in a snowstorm. My folks drove us down to the ship, and it took them 3.5 hours to make a half-hour trip to get back home. The snow was that bad. And we ate a meal before we left, and as we came out of the dining room, along the passageways of the ship were paper bags tucked into the railings that they have in case the ship is swaying too much. And we all laughed, ha ha ha. None of us would need those paper bags. I never saw the Statue of Liberty. My wife and I were seasick from the time we left New York Harbor until the time we reached the English Channel. But every morning, the Army made us get out of our room, no matter how sick we were, so the nurse could come in and make sure that we hadn't spread some social disease all over our room. The only one who enjoyed the trip was at that time, he was about 3 months old son, because it was great. It was like he was in a cradle all the time. He was just rocking constantly. He'd sit there and giggle. And we had an Army nurse who was our table mate. Because Susie and I, we spent the first 7 days with our face in a paper bag. And then we got to Germany. Boy, was that just great fun. The reason we knew we were in Germany is because the water in the latrine on the ship turned from white to brown. So we knew we were in the harbor. And we arrived like 2 o'clock in the morning, but they made us stay on the ship in good old Army fashion until 9 o'clock that night. Even though we were tied up to the dock, we weren't allowed to leave. 9 o'clock that night, they put us on a bus. And the bus took us exactly 50 yards to the train. And it doesn't sound bad, except I had 14 suitcases. And the wife and the baby, she took care of the baby, and I took care of 14 suitcases. And if you ever try to get on an Army bus with 14 suitcases, you know exactly what I mean. And then to go to 50 yards to a bus, you wondered why the hell you went through all the trouble, okay? They put you on a train, and this train has got the lowest priority on the German rail system. You were constantly pulling over to a siding, brum, 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 all the freight cars would go by you. And slowly but surely, we got our way to Frankfurt, changed trains at Frankfurt, and we were going to a city called Mainz. And as we approached Mainz, we saw a sign. And the sign said, Mainz-Kastel. Well, we assumed we had arrived in Mainz. So Susie and the baby get off, and I get off, and 14 suitcases get off, and the train starts to move again, and the next thing we know that gets off is the conductor, yelling 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, and throwing us back on the train. Mainz-Kastel was on the wrong side of the river. We didn't know any better. Get there, arrive at Mainz itself. The sponsor finally shows up, a guy named Mike Lloyd, and takes us down to our first unit. That was our welcome to Germany. During that next year, there were things like sitting there as a 21-year-old guy and counseling a 52-year-old sergeant on how he should be more mature. Okay? It happens. Okay? You're going to expect it. Trying to walk around an old Nike Hercules launching area with a guy named Don Knuckles, who was the battery commander at the time, who was about 6'5". Now, in my stocking feet, friends, I am 5'6". Old Don Knuckles always ended up on the inside of the turns. And I always ended up on the outside of the turns. And talk about PT. Try walking around an old Nike Hercules launcher room when you're the guy who's 5'6" and the other guy's 6'5". But that's what it's like in your first unit. You're all going to experience the same thing. Coming to the realization that I slept through the wrong course in the officer of basic course. Okay? I didn't sleep through them all, but most of them, okay? And the one I needed right off the bat was the stupid system we had to keep records in the Army, maintenance records and stuff. My first job was as a commo officer as an additional duty. And the commo section had just failed an inspection, and there we were trying to fix the records, and I didn't remember a damn thing. So I'm telling you right now, you have all slept through something. I know you have. Okay? And I'm just telling you, whatever you slept through is going to bite you in the butt in your first unit. Now, when you walk in, okay, let me give you a few helpful hints. I was taught an officer reports for duty in a Class A uniform. Okay? I strongly recommend the first day you show up in any unit, and I reported for duty here at Fort Bliss in 1986 in a Class A uniform, that you report in your best Class A uniform. I would caution you to look for local rules. For example, if you go to the 2nd Battalion, 44th Air Defense Artillery, which used to be the proud 1st Battalion, 3rd Air Defense Artillery at the 101st Airborne Division Air Assault, I would really recommend you don't show up in low quarter shoes. I'd really recommend you show up in jump boots with a high shine and an overseas cap with a glider patch on it, because that's the uniform of that division. So what you need to do, you need to make damn well sure your sponsor tells you, are there any local rules? Because you really feel like an oddball when you walk into low quarters and everybody else is in jump boots, okay? Listen. The best piece of advice I can give you right now is keep your mouth shut and your ears open. The best, if you're so shit-faced, to pardon the French, that you don't remember anything else I tell you tonight, remember one thing. When you show up in your first tactical unit, shut your mouth and open your ears. Okay? Look like a soldier. If you have a propensity towards the longer style of hair, cut it. Okay? I'm not saying you don't have to look like me, and God forbid you look like Colonel Scott, okay? But look like a soldier. You're about to make a first impression, not only on your commander, but more importantly on your soldiers. Okay? And your soldiers expect you to set a good standard from the beginning. So look like a soldier. Be ready to learn. And there are two people who should be your teachers. First, the most important non-commissioned officer in the United States Army, the platoon sergeant. Now, what Colonel Simmons told you when he gave you guys a hard time about Mr. Vice not properly addressing a platoon sergeant is absolutely right. The platoon sergeant is the key NCO that makes the Army run. He has two jobs. One is, obviously, to train his squad leaders and the soldiers in his platoon. But the second, and equally important, is his job is to train you, Lieutenant. If you walk in there with your head up your fifth point of contact, not realizing that that's his job, you have made a paramount mistake. The good ones will train you. The good ones will train you. The key for you is to know when to say, I got it, Sergeant, I'm taking it from here. Okay? But don't rush into that decision. The other person whose job it is to train you is the battery commander. He or she has the responsibility of turning you from what you are right now, and I love all of you, but from what you are right now, into a commissioned officer in the United States Army. We try here at the Air Defense Artillery School, but the job will not be complete until the platoon sergeant and the battery commander execute their responsibilities. Now, as you start about your business, probably the best advice I can give you for your whole career is trust your heart. If inside you, your body is telling you, your conscience is telling you, your spirit as a soldier is telling you that you ought to be off your ass and down there checking something, go do it. No matter how tired you are, no matter how cold you are, no matter how hungry you are, I have found in almost 25 years, my conscience has always been right. Invariably, when I do not what I want to do, but what I know in my heart I must do, it always turns out right. Okay? And you're going to have a lot of tugs at you. You're going to have a spouse who wants you home. You're going to have a body that's craving for sleep and for food and for warmth. Follow what's in your conscience, my friends. When you get in your first platoon, plan your days. What those guys are looking for, really, is someone to put order to their life, to take all the crap that flows from guys like me, through Terry Scott, through all the way down to the poor private in a platoon. They're looking for someone to take all of that, organize it, and tell them how they're going to go about their day. So have a plan for each day. Organize it. Take care of your soldiers, my friends. If you take care of your soldiers, they will always take care of you. I've always had one thing that's bothered the hell out of me. I've never felt that my leadership was ever equal to the dedication of the soldiers who served under me. And it's always bothered me. I have seen soldiers who have gone through anything to make the old man happy, to do what the old man knew or the old man wanted to have done. Okay? They have always been a hell of a lot more dedicated than I've ever been a good leader. You take care of them, they will absolutely take care of you. No two ways about it. You screw over them, my friends, they'll let your butt hang out to dry, and I don't blame them. Now, I'm not telling you to be a wimp, and I'm not telling you to coddle them and make their life easy. I'm telling you to do what's right and take care of them and make sure they're ready to go to war. You better support your battery commander, okay? He's the boss. You're going to, the hardest thing you're all going to do right off the bat is you're going to bring something to your battery commander and he's going to disagree with you. Okay? He's flat going to tell you you're wrong and he's going to choose another course of direction. And now you come to the first crisis of your life. Okay? Let me tell you something. The Army is built that we do what the boss says. I don't agree with everything Donald R. Infante ever told me. But I do it. And it's the hardest thing in the world to get used to. But I'm telling you right now, your job is to provide advice, assistance, and everything else. But once a decision is made, you've got to support it. If you don't, resign your damn commission and get out of the Army. Okay? Because whether it's Jimmy Carter or Ronald Reagan or Teddy Roosevelt, that's what we're all about, friends. Whatever the highest authority says, we do. That's why we've always been the Army we've been. We're not like the damn French who go ahead and every now and then they don't like what the hell's going on. They overthrow the president or half these banana republics that exist in the world. We are the United States Army. We subordinate ourselves to whatever the civilian leadership says and all the way down the chain of command. So you better get used to that way of life. But I'm telling you, it's going to be hard. Because sometimes in your heart, and I remember I told you, use your heart as your gut. In your heart, you know the guy or lady is doing the wrong thing. But that's tough. You do it. You suck it up, and you try to make it work for that person. Why? Do you want to make the boss look good? No. Because win, lose, or draw, the person that it all falls on is your soldiers. So if you want it to be successful for your soldiers, you're going to have social requirements passed on to you. Let me tell you a few things about social requirements. Go to the boss's house when he invites you. Tell his wife yes or no you're coming. Okay? And let me tell you something else. When you're invited to someone's home, you now have incurred an obligation to invite that someone to yours. Now, if you're a bachelor and you can't cook, be you bachelorette or bachelorette, tough shit. Your alternative is, there's always a nice restaurant, there's always the club. We in the United States Army don't work an 8-hour day. We in the United States Army are founded on the type of crap that's going on right here tonight. I defy you to find General Motors or worse yet, the shoe store in Dillard's that I spent a half hour in today, and see that they would ever do something like you're doing right now. See, the difference is, we don't just work, we serve. And that's a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week job, and we get to know and love each other. No one in the Dillard's shoe store loves each other, I guarantee you that. But then again, no one in the Dillard's shoe store has to rely on the other person for his life. Okay? So you have a responsibility. When that young captain invites you over to his or her house to have dinner, I expect you to invite them back. It's all part of it. It's part of getting to know each other, so you know who you can trust. Now, I expect you to cooperate with your fellow officers. Let me tell you something. See all these second lieutenants in this room? You are not competing with these guys, okay? The ladies and gentlemen in this room, I guarantee you, when it comes to who's going to make general, okay, you're really not competing with these folks, okay? I hate to tell most of you, but 90% of you won't be here 24 years from now. For one reason or another, you will choose to leave the Army. And that's fine. But the message is cooperate with each other, learn from each other, do your best to help your buddy. Because we're not here for who makes general. We're here for the defense of the nation. We're here for taking care of our soldiers. And if the guy in the second platoon has a better idea, then the lady in the first platoon ought to adopt it. Because it's better for the nation, and it's better for the soldiers, and who the hell cares who gets credit for it? Now that's a lofty ideal, and in day-to-day, sometimes it don't work. But I'm telling you, please approach your first assignment that way. Please. Watch out for the guy who says, the old man wants it. Let me tell you, sir, about this guy, Mike Lloyd. I don't know how many of you, I don't know, Paul may know Mike Lloyd, and maybe Terry and Mike did. Mike Lloyd retired as lieutenant colonel. He was my first executive officer in the 1st Battery. Mike would call you up and tell you to do things. He said, his words were, the old man wants it. Now that was bullshit, but we didn't find that out. This was Lloyd's way of not doing any damn work. He would make you believe that the battery commandant wants something. Be careful be very, very careful of those type of people. Okay? And there are some of them out there who will constantly turn to the boss, blame everything on the boss, and make you do all the work. You should never tell your soldiers, the old man wants it. You should tell your soldiers, I want it. Whether you want it or not. Not the old man wants it. No matter how bad the crap is, it should be your crap. Not the boss's crap. It's you and your soldiers. You're going to be tested by your non-commissioned officers and by some of your soldiers. Okay? They're going to find out if you pack the goods, be you male or female goods. They're going to, and I don't blame them, because they might have to go to war with you. And they better find out if they've got a wimp or they got a soldier. So they're going to test you. There's only one or two things you can do. Put your tail behind your legs, between your legs, and wimp off, and I absolutely guarantee you will be ineffective for the remainder of the time you're in that unit. Or rise to the occasion by chewing their ass. But you will be tested, I guarantee you. When you first take charge quietly, please. Don't make a big deal of it. Everybody knows what a second lieutenant is. No offense, we all started there, okay? Do it quietly. Listen to the platoon sergeant. You'll soon learn whether he's a good platoon sergeant or not. Okay? Listen to the battery commander. Go about your business in a quiet manner. Now, as you become more secure in your position and your platoon sergeant does his job teaching you what he's got to teach you, you'll get better, and you can start asserting yourself. but no one expects George Patton to walk into the 2nd Battalion, 7th Air Defense Artillery at McGregor Range next week. Okay? No one really expects that. In fact, if you try playing George Patton, everybody's going to think you're a horse's butt. Okay? So just sit back, relax, and learn your profession. I would recommend to you that when your boss tells you to do something, you not only do it, but you do it quickly. Okay? When the commander, and I don't care whether he's the battery commander, the battalion commander, the brigade commander, the division commander, or the post commander that tells you to do something, that becomes your #1 priority. Okay? Kiss it off. You take your chances, my friends. It's simple. He's the boss. He wouldn't tell you to do something if he didn't think it was important. And don't ever forget, the commander is responsible for everything the unit does or fails to do. So get it done. Now, you hear a lot of stuff about it's easier to get forgiveness than permission. That is a very, very famous saying nowadays. Let me tell you something. Before you go for forgiveness, you better make sure it's worth the price. I'm not trying to scare you, I'm just telling you the truth. Understand what you're doing before you quote, it's better to get forgiveness than permission. I had a kid come in to me the other day and tell me that. He was being relieved as a battery commander. He chose the wrong damn thing to go for forgiveness on. Okay? So don't be so quick. Now there will be things, there is absolutely right. It is easier to get forgiveness. But the bottom line is, when it all turns out right, then you got forgiveness. It's easy to get forgiveness. But when it turns out to be a dump of crap on the floor in the mess, then my friends, you're not going to get forgiveness, and you better have gone for permission beforehand.
Before this next act comes along, Colonel Simmons has a rap, and he will present.
I want all the tactics instructors to start giving me a little
in there. You are. Let's start a little, a little rap. Okay. I'm Colonel Simmons, and I'm here to say, I'm doing it all if it ain't my way. I take a little chew and I act real tough, but deep inside I'm idle. I eat second Louis right and left, cause they can't remember VACR and SWEPT. And I am the man in the tactics room. If you screw up, prepare for doom. I expect the most of my men. They don't give. Thank you, 110. They're hard chargers through and through. Words like can't just won't do. Pound for pound, I'm a tough cat. If my hands aren't enough, I'll just use a baseball bat. My attitude stops when I see my wife, because we all know she runs my life. I kiss her feet and call her a dear, because if I don't, she'll bite my rear. She holds the cards and the money. Just wait till you're married. It ain't so funny. When those concludes my rapping song, I apologize if it was too long. I read it good. I got it well. But come Monday morning, prepare for hell.
Waiting for a mission. Getting softer. Every minute I stay in OBC, I get weaker. Stupid. Each time I look around my BOQ, the walls moved in a little tighter. Everyone gets what he wants. I wanted a mission. And for my sins, they gave me one. It was a real choice mission. Shit. I was going to the worst place in the world, and I didn't even know it yet. Minutes away, and feet through the hallway that snaked through Building 2 like a main circuit cable. Capagon's team room. It was no accident that I got to be the caretaker of Captain Heather Z. Capagon's memory, any more than my being at OBC was an accident. There's no telling her story without telling my own. And so is mine.
Bye, Harry. Bye. Bye, Harry.
Oh, what a good choice. You're
Colonel Scott!
Colonel Scott.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant. Good afternoon, sir. We have some good news, some bad news, and some ugly news. First, the good news. The good news is we got a weekend coming up. The bad news is everyone else does. The ugly news is, well, really don't have any ugly news. But bravo, Batty. That was the best battery to run this morning. I don't know why, but they just were the best. Well, Lieutenant, you know, like I always say, every day's a holiday. And believe me, once you kill the bitch the first time.
Listen, Weenie. Heather Cavgon. Listen up, Weenie. Heather Cavgon was one of the most outstanding officers this country ever produced. She was brilliant. She was outstanding in every way. She was a good man, too. A woman of wit and humor. She joined the OBC instructor team, and after that, her ideas, methods, became unsound. You see, in this ADA OBC, things get confused. Power, ideals, practical military necessity. Out there in the ADA OBC, it must be a temptation to be God. Everyone has a breaking point. Heather Cavgon has reached hers. Very obviously, she has gone insane. All right, LT, listen up. I'm Captain Pete, and I'm not a goddamn newbie Loebs. In this room, you can call me Petey. I've got your mission for you, son. It's to exterminate and terminate Captain Cavgon's command with extreme prejudice. And as soon as you've done so, I'm going to slide in. I'm going to teach the 17 how to chuckle warmly, wiggle their ears, and go hee-hee and ho-ho. See, Second Lieutenant Sauce. Okay, Weenie, do you have any questions?
Do I have any weapons at my disposal, sir? And are we really first to fire?
I don't know. What the hell do you think? No, Colonel in charge of all weapons at Fort Bliss doesn't want any of my OBC troopies now digging with me. Look, son, don't get in this pissing contest between colonels. When you're a major in